What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the very first episode of the World Series of Poker 2023. In front of me right now, kind of legendary, Daniel Negreanu, the late Doyle Brunson, Phil Ivey, just goats. Today's a fun one. This first entire week is kind of big. This week I have the 25K 6 Max that I'm playing right now, which is the first event that's currently going on right now. You can see Steven Chidwick right there. That monster's in the field. There's the Tournament of Champions the next day. And then there's also, later next week is the 25K 8 Max. We'll see if I can get some highlights of these three tournaments in this video or just freaking win this thing. But pretty big tournaments to start off. This series could go down real early in a hole this summer in tournaments, or it could freaking bink something, and that'll be good. But anyways, we're gonna get started. 6 Max, it's gonna be fun, lots of hands. Looking forward to the action. This is a pretty tough field. Let's get after it. Nice to have this guy on my left. It is. Wonderful. Vlog on vlog. WSOP 2023 starting off hot with Daniel Negreanu sitting on my left. Let's see what we can make happen in this 25K 6 Max. Picking up Jack 10 offsuit in the big blind. There's a button raised to 3,500 and I defend. Going to a flop of King 10, 3, 2 diamonds. I check it over to him and he throws out a bet of 4,000. I make the call here with plenty of chips to play in behind with second pair. Going to a turn which is the deuce. Complete brick. I check it once again and my opponent now fires out for a larger bet of 17.5K. All right. Facing a larger bet here, he certainly can be bluffing a lot. I think I have a pretty strong hand to continue with second pair. Happy to make the call once again and continue, knowing my opponent can be bluffing. River comes a jack. Well, now sitting with 2 pair. I think my opponent's sizing for an all-in, and I'm just going to have to call it off. I check once again to let his bluffs go barreling and blasting away. If my opponent does basically go all in for 52.5 thousand, it's a snap call for me, and he shows King 10. Oh my goodness, brutal. He flopped 2 pair, had me the entire way. I was drawing dead. And my 150,000 starting stack is now down to 70,000, immediately losing half of my starting stack. Not the way you want to start off this tournament. All right, chipping down with just under 70,000. I'm in the big blind with pocket 5s. There's a cutoff raise to 3,500. Small blind makes the call, and when the small blind is in there, we're going multi-way. I think I'm just going to shove and go for it. It's a little bit big of a shove, more than 40 big blinds, but hey, you know what? I've actually lost a lot of my chips, and we're here to gamble. I'm all in, and cutoff makes the call pretty quickly, which is just never good news. He has pocket 9s, 20% chance to suck out and win, and it is the 80% that happens. Very fun 20 minutes of play in my first bullet of this 25K. That was a really dumb 20 minutes, but good thing that there are rebuys. So I have another rebuy to the 25K. Last bullet, you could only buy in twice into this thing. Good for me, because I would punt off a lot of money. But here we are. Good luck us. Try to run better. Whatever happens, happens. We've rebought. We're ready to go again. The second bullet here in this 25K 6 Max. We're in level 5. I have over starting stack, and I pick up aces on the button. There's a hijack raise to 10,000, which seems pretty large, and I decided to 3-bet on the smaller side to 27,000. Playing against a recreational here, my opponent makes the call, and we're going in position to a flop of 6-6-4 rainbow. Obviously, great spot for me, safe board. Can't imagine my opponent to have any 6s. So when he checks it over to me, I throw out a small bet of 13,000, and he continues with the call. So we've got a pot building, trying to get it all in. Turn comes a 3, pretty low card, and now my opponent leads for 32,000. And I am so confused. How is he leading for 32,000 here? Also interesting because my opponent only has 50,000 behind. So if I were to raise, then it would just be an all-in size. And I don't want to scare him off if he's bluffing. So I'm just going to make the call and continue. I'm not sure what he can have, but we're going to see a river, which comes a king. Not loving it, because this might be an action-killing card if my opponent has 10s or jacks or something like that. But luckily, no action is killed. He shoves it all in. I snap call, show my aces, and we actually don't get to see what my opponent had. He mucks his cards in there, and I stack my opponent and win. So here, starting off bullet number 2, picking up aces, stacking an opponent, very, very ideal start. In the very next deal, we're involved again with ace-jack off suit in the cutoff. I raise it up to 8,000. Cutoff makes the call, and there's a short stack who goes all in for 67,000. I'm never going to be folding in this spot. My opponent has about like 15, 17 big blinds. So I make the call, the button ends up getting out of the way, and we're in great shape. Back-to-back hands to stack an opponent. He has ace-10 offsuit. It's looking like we're in great shape, and the river brings a chop. Oh my god. It's a paired board, and it's not going to be good for me here. I don't end up losing chips, but the chop pot is a little frustrating. Could have been steamrolling into this tournament here, but still have over 400,000 chips in my stack. This next hand is a fun one here with King 10 offsuit. I start off with a min raise from the hijack with this hand, as D-Negs is very short in the big blind, and we get the small blind player to make the call, and big blind Negreanu makes the call with not many chips behind. So we're going to a flop which comes 10 high and 10-7-5 2 diamonds. And the small blind actually leads here multi-way for 20,000. Very, very confused in this spot, and D-Negs makes the call for 2,000 behind. So he makes the call for 20,000. He has basically forced all in, and I go into the tank here a little bit confused, sitting with top pair. I think my hand is definitely good enough to raise for value, although it could be a little bit dicey and scary facing a small blind lead, but definitely want to build a pot. I decided to raise things up to 65,000 with what I would consider a pretty good hand, top pair, good kicker. Trying to get more value in there. The small blind ends up making the call with about 200,000 behind. And D-Negs makes the call as well, but he's all in for 22,000 total. So we've got a big main pot brewing with a side pot going on, and we're going to a turn which is a spade. Brings in 2 flush draws. The small blind now checks, and I don't know what to do, really. It's a very draw-heavy board. 2 flush draws out there. I have a really strong hand with top pair, but quite vulnerable as I need protection. I decided to shove, which in hindsight might not be great because it's such a big all-in. I might only get called by better hands, but my opponent ends up folding. We're all in. We win the side pot, but got to hold against D-Negs, who has 8-9, and he ends up bricking the river, and I'm going to scoop this entire pot up with the King 10, stack a legend of the game, and just like that, my chip stack, well over 500,000 chips, we're steamrolling. The next highlight comes with 8-4 of diamonds in the cutoff. It might be a little bit loose, but I'm trying to battle and get in there. I raise it up to 12,000. Small blind makes the call, and we're going heads up to a flop of 10-5-3 2 diamonds. Flopping the flush draw with 8 high. Not a hand he's going to be seeing coming here. He checks it over to me, and I'm going to throw out a larger size of 25,000 here. Just have, you know, such a great hand with a flush draw. And when my opponent makes the call, we're hoping to get there. Turn 5 of diamonds. What a great card. My opponent checks again. And this time, I'm going to bet for sure. Got to bet for value, and I size to 65,000. And oh my goodness, he check jams. He has over 200,000 in his stack. Oh my god, snippety snap. I make the call. When I snap call, he doesn't look very happy and shows King 10. I am basically like a very, very big favorite to win this hand. Massive pot here, and I end up holding on the river. Although it was a very scary one, I win, and that's what you get for raising the 8-4 suited. Turn a flush, get it all in. My chip stack is ballooning up to 750,000 chips. Certainly one of the chip leaders so far in this tournament right now. We're approaching the last level of day 1 here, and this is a spicy one. I've chipped down just a little bit, and I pick up King Jack offsuit in the big blind. It's a hijack raised to 16,000. The button, very intimidating, scary opponent, Adrian Mateos, makes the call. I defend my big blind as well with the playable hand, and we see a flop of Queen 10 high. Flopping an open-ended straight draw. Action's going to check all the way around, so not loving that, but we're going to a turn which comes the 8 of diamonds, which brings in a backdoor flush draw. It brings Jack 9 as a straight, which is definitely a hand I could have, as, you know, I have King Jack here. But action ends up checking all the way around once again, so we have no action on the flop and turn, but the river is a 10. Well, it's pretty likely that someone could have a 10 here, for sure, because of how passive everyone is. Any pair of 10s that's improved the trips now certainly would have played it this way as well if I were one of my opponents. But I have King High, and I want to find a way to win this pot. So I decided to block bet 15,000, very small amount here, just trying to find a way to get folds from ace highs or random pocket pairs. But immediately it doesn't work out as hijack makes the call, which is not very fun. But now Player on the button, Adrian Mateos, he raises to 90,000. And this isn't your typical opponent, like literally one of the best players in the world. And I'm thinking to myself, it's pretty face up that he could have trips here. But could he be able to fold trips since, he's pretty good? How crazy would it be to block bet and then try to 3-bet as a bluff into multiple opponents? I mean, anyone trying to raise here would certainly have a full house and have a very strong hand, right? Well, I think I have a decent combo to do this with. I block a lot of the stronger 10Xs, and I'm going to go for it. I raise it up once again, trying to get very creative to 250,000. The hijack, of course, gets out of the way as I expect him to, and now back onto Mateos, who doesn't take too long before end up just calling. FML. I show the king high, he shows the jack 10. Definitely something that he was never going to fold as he blocks some straights. And it was a massive one. That's a very, very big hit to the stack, and I'm down to 400,000. And we're bagging onto day 2. I could have had piles if I just stayed a little bit disciplined, but here I got carried away trying to get too creative with the bluff. Problem: do not freaking bluff the best player in the room. Ended up bagging 393, 392 after peaking at 800K. Back to tomorrow. I'm literally getting out of the garage right now, so back tomorrow for day 2. We're here at the Horseshoe, at the WSOP, a little bit more filled out today. Day 2 of this is a 1K mystery bounty, or $1 million mystery bounty. We're gonna play in there in the 6 max. We got like 40 big blinds and a dream. That's it. I don't know. We're gonna be hopping in there pretty soon. The tournament starts in 10 minutes. That's all I got. Let's hope to have a very long day this day 2. Entering day 2 here, pretty exciting, and not a whole lot happening on my end, to be honest. Level 9, 10, 11 come and go, but I do end up chipping up. I came into the day with a relatively short stack, and I have almost 800,000 chips now, with 38 players left. 32 players make the money. It's a $40,000 min cash and $1.2 million for first place. But in the past 2.5 hours of play, I'm chipping up, and we arrive at this spot with ace deuce of diamonds and low jack. I raise things up to 32,000 as the big blinds have certainly ballooned up, and we get the button to make the call. The flop comes 10-10 deuce with a flush draw. Not a whole lot going on for me here. Action's gonna go check, check. Turn comes the 4, completing the flush draw. Once again, sitting with ace high, I am not loving it. Action's gonna go check, check once again. And the river, queen of clubs, put some intentions in my head of maybe I can bluff. I think my opponent can have one of 2 hands when he's so passive in position. He can have some sort of smaller pocket pair like 8s, 7s, 5s, or he could have like a king, queen, queen, jack kind of holding that now obviously river's top pair. And I'm going to take my shot and gamble. Given his passive nature, maybe he has showdown value. I just have to blast out 115,000, hoping he has a pocket pair, and he calls with queen, jack of spades. So the first significant hand I play is a bluff, and the bluff doesn't get through and gets called. So now I'm down to 600,000 chips. Luckily, I've chipped up to over 700,000, 2 away off the money, and we see an all-in situation on another table. Kings versus queens. Kings ends up holding, and all of a sudden we're on the stone bubble, 1-person bust to make the money. In the following clip, you're going to see an ace-8 versus king-jack forced all in. King-jack ends up busting. GG's to my friend Justin here, and we are suddenly in the money, locking up a $40,000 min cash, but I am in for 2 bullets, so technically not winning money just yet. With the blinds increasing here, it's a level 13 now and about a 600,000 chip stack. I pick up 6-9 of hearts in the big blind, and the small blind ends up limping in. I check my option, and we see a flop of queen, queen 5, 2 spades, and a heart. Here, my opponent checks over to me, sitting with 9 high. Could go either way with a check or bet, and I decided to take the passive route and check. Turn comes a pretty good one, though. It's the ace of hearts. Brings in a backdoor flush draw, and he checks it over to me again. Now here with 9 high, with a flush draw, think my opponent could certainly raise preflop with some ace-x. So I'm going to throw out a bet of 75,000. I think in hindsight, probably could just chill out, but trying to win the pot here in a blind versus blind format, my opponent calls. River comes another queen, so that's really not a good card for me here with 9 high. My opponent checks one more time, giving me some rope to try to bluff him off of king high. Maybe some random pair that would be afraid to bluff. I overbet because I'm repping a full house, the nuts or nothing. And I throw out 300,000 chips into the middle, and he doesn't take that long because he has ace king. Makes the call, trapped me, found a perfect run out for just an easy call down. And yeah, I lose half my stack. I'm down to 300,000 chips, and here, moving on to the next orbit, we pick up a suited ace in the big blind once again. Blinds have increased, so I have 10 big blinds and a dream. Small blind goes all in, and I will never be folding this hand. I make the call, and let's try to spin this up. My opponent has 9-7 offsuit. Let's go to a run out. You too.
That's pretty good block.
The river breaks my spirit, and he rivers a pair, and ace high is not good anymore, and that's how I say GG's to this tournament. Busting out in the money. Off to the outro. That's it. That's how it's done. I take losing still very poorly, especially when I knew it was my fault. I fucking suck at blind versus blind spots. And then, the river. Flop a flush draw. He has not many outs. Bink. Fuck my life. That's all my fault, though. That's what I get for just sucking. That's how I'm feeling. Those are the raw emotions. Anyways, 23rd for 50,000, break-even tournament. I guess it's not bad to break even in the WSOP because the last 2 times I've just been torched. It's nice to cash in the first event, even though I broke even. Because last year I cashed in like 3 events the entire fucking summer. I never played 25Ks last year, but I was like minus 100K in a lot of bullets, and it wasn't very fun. On to the next one. It's going to be a long summer, a fun one. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I got to get better at blind versus blind. It's a real big leak of mine. And feels bad to lose. That's it. Long summer. Looking forward to some more vlogs. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.